So today we are doing a little bit more of a deeper dive into fat loss and how to exit it successfully. Welcome to Empower Her Health, where I believe that every single person has the capacity to change within themselves and that they know themselves better than anyone else. And I'm just here to help you take control and help empower you to navigate your health journey confidently. And so we are talking specifically about exiting a fat loss phase. And when we're doing this, I like to back up to the beginning. What are you doing before you even enter the fat loss phase? Because setting yourself up for success long term means establishing healthy habits. The best time to do that is when you are in you have caloric stability. You are not feeling starved. You do not have the stress of not getting enough food. And establishing those habits before you even enter a fat loss phase is so important. A lot of times there's a lot of yo-yo dieting happening, a lot of habits that are happening here and there, and they are not stable habits. And we want to establish those. And so some of the specific habits that you want to establish go back to the foundations of health. Are you getting at least 7 hours of sleep a night? That is so important because when we don't get enough sleep, what happens is our body actually shuts down a hormone that tells us when we're full, and it produces more of a hormone that makes us hungry. So sleep is so important, especially if you're trying to lose weight, because that is something that it's going to be really hard to counteract the hormones that are actually functioning in our body and giving us those cues. Secondly, is your nutrition. So you want to have some sort of food tracking system, and it's up to you what works best for you. But you want to have some sort of system that is telling you how much food you are putting into your body, and you also want to make sure that you have a quality amount of food. It's okay to have some food that is not quality, but establishing some sort of making meals, some sort of this is where I'm going to be getting healthy food from. Also, you want to have movement, and movement is going to be very different for different people. Finding something you enjoy is the top priority, because if you enjoy it, you're going to continue doing it. And so consistent movement, I would say look at steps, making sure that you are consistently getting a good amount of movement through steps is a great gauge. Also, some sort of strength training is going to be very helpful, because when you strength train and before you lose weight, you're going to have more muscle that's going to be uncovered, and you're going to like the look of your body a lot more if there's muscle underneath the fat that you're going to lose. Now, when you are lifting weights during a cut, it also is going to prevent you from losing that muscle, specifically if it's paired with getting enough protein. So the range is 0.7 to 1 grams per pound of body weight of protein that you want to be getting, and that's going to help you build muscle when you're in maintenance, and it's also going to help you prevent muscle loss during that fat loss phase. And so all of these are also going to go into kind of this equation of my recommendation is maintaining weight for at least 6 months before you go into a fat loss phase, because that means that your habits have been established. It means that your food tracking system is correct, it's working well, and it means that you're going to continue these habits when you're in a fat loss phase. Now, moving on to that fat loss phase. So we're going to talk about this before we talk about exiting it. So when you are in a fat loss phase, you do not want to be overly restrictive. So the recommendation is somewhere between 10% and 20% of your calories is all you should be cutting. And that for me, my maintenance was at 2,300 calories, and I went down to 1,900 calories and I lost 11 pounds. But it was a very conservative amount of calories to cut, and it felt very doable the whole time. It should not be a constant battle. I did it for 11 weeks, and we'll talk about, reasons to be done next. But When you are in a fat loss phase, you want it to be very similar to what your life was like before that fat loss phase, when you had those healthy habits established, except you're just eating a little less food. You might want to up your movement with that so you don't have to cut as much food. If you want to aim for like 2,000 more steps a day, that can be very beneficial. But doing crazy amounts of cardio on top of your lifting and that type of thing might actually make you lose more muscle. And so adding a little bit more cardio is okay, but do it very conservatively and make sure you're also listening to your body's cues. So fat loss phase, we don't want it to be overly restrictive. We want our habits to look exactly like they looked in those 6 months when we were maintaining weight, establishing those healthy habits before the fat loss phase. And when we're in this fat loss phase, we need to make sure of a few things. And this is the next subject I was talking about, why you should end a fat loss phase early. So reasons that don't have to do with you reaching your goal weight. And that alone, I don't think there should be a goal weight. I think it should just be you have the equation of how many calories you're going to cut, you keep those healthy habits, and you lose what you lose. You only do it for a period of time and then you're done. So a fat loss phase, it's recommended, depending on how much you have to lose, between 8 and 20 weeks. When you get to 20 weeks, psychologically, it can get really tough. Your metabolism can also start to adapt. Some people that have a lot to lose can go for longer than that. But the biggest thing that you have to pay attention to, well, two things, is biofeedback and adherence. So biofeedback is your body. If you are a female that is cycling and you notice that your menstrual cycle is getting longer and longer, if you notice that you're getting bleeding when you shouldn't be, if you notice that you don't think you're ovulating, these are all signs that you should stop your cut and go back to maintenance and pull the plug. Biofeedback also, if you're having trouble sleeping because you don't have enough food, if you notice your energy is completely tanked, this could be signs of micronutrient deficiencies. It could also be a sign that your thyroid is starting to adapt. And so you want to make sure that you are, again, pulling the plug, getting out of the cut. You know, attitude too. If you're noticing your personality, if you're snapping a lot, if it's more than you would like to do, or it's more than you can handle, reasons to end that cut early. Now, a lot of times this isn't going to happen until more further into the cut. So knowing the difference between, you know, what your status quo personality was and, you know, then comparing that to the cut, that's going to be a really helpful tool. So you know what normal looks like and what, you know, that's not normal. I should pull the plug. Knowing the difference is important. Now, the second one is adherence, and this has more to do with the mentality behind the cut. Are you noticing that you are snitching things a lot, or you are sneaking extra calories that you're not recording on your food tracking? That's a sign that your relationship with food is starting to go, and it's also a sign that you are feeling too restrictive. You do not any longer have that abundance mindset. So it's time to go back to maintenance so you can repair that relationship with food. So adherence is something that is going to be more about the mentality, whereas biofeedback is more about your physical health. And both are reasons to end a cut early. And in my case, I just, ended a cut a little bit early because I was noticing my adherence was going, and I also noticed that I was getting some bleeding in between my periods. And so those are both signs for me that I needed to be done, and I just psychologically was kind of done. I was ready to go back to maintenance. And now we're going to talk about the beauty of maintenance. Maintenance is home. Maintenance is where you should spend the majority of your time. If you have a significant amount of weight to lose, taking breaks in maintenance can also be very good for you. But, that's up to, if you have medical reasons to lose a lot of weight, definitely you can jump into that right away. But establishing those habits if you can. If there is no medical reason for you to lose weight immediately, establish those habits, do a healthy fat loss, and then get back to maintenance. When you're in that fat loss, you are adhering 100% so you can do it quick, be done, and then go back to maintenance, go back to home. So maintenance is where our body is going to thrive. We are getting the amount of calories our body needs to have energy, to sleep well, to have a good mood, to be able to build muscle, which is so important for a multitude of reasons. And so maintenance is something that it's hard because a lot of us have almost been conditioned to eat less and almost have a badge of honor be if you skip a meal or don't eat enough. And maintenance is so, it can be so hard because you don't see the scale changing. And you almost, a lot of us have the scale as a sort of the end all be all. That is our sign of health. That is what our goal is to be the smallest weight possible and the smallest size possible. When in reality, health is stability. And that's where our bodies are going to thrive the most. Maintenance, we can build muscle. When you are in a fat loss phase, you are not able to build muscle because you do not have those excess calories to put on body mass. Your body is in a state of it's catabolic, it's eating itself, right? It's burning fat. And so, when you're in maintenance, it's not trying to do that. You can even eat a little bit less protein, like more on the 0.7, 0.8 side when you're in maintenance, because your body isn't trying to use its own tissue for energy like it is in a fat loss phase. And so maintenance is just where you are going to have the best quality of life. And I think the majority of us enjoy eating. And when you have that caloric stability, you are going to be able to consistently eat a good amount of food and feel good about that. So it can be more challenging than a fat loss phase in a lot of ways because you can get sloppy with it. But when you're getting back to maintenance, it's so important to learn ways to enjoy maintenance and celebrate being able to lift more. And things like that are just successes. Notice your energy, notice your personality just shining through. And that's really important to celebrate. And one final note I wanted to make too was when you go from that fat loss phase to maintenance, there's a couple things that you need to do and expect. So first of all, you want to continue to track food. So you did it before you started losing, you did it while you were losing. Now you need to continue to track food. The goal eventually is going to be that you can eat intuitively, but you need to track food because you need to learn what your new maintenance looks like. You're going to be eating a little bit less than you were before the fat loss phase because you have a smaller body, and so you're going to need less calories. And you need to find what that looks like. So by tracking your food and weighing yourself, you're going to be finding where that maintenance is and what that feels like. Now, also, when you start eating more in maintenance, you are going to notice that you have a slight weight gain. And that is just going to be because you have more food in your body. And when you have more carbohydrates, you are going to hold on to more water. That's called glycogen stores. And that is where our energy comes from. It is a good thing. And so those two things are going to add up to you gaining a little bit of weight right away. And then that should stabilize as you find your maintenance calories. And so I wanted to note that because that is very important to know and expect that there will be a little bit of weight gain at that time. So establish the healthy habits at maintenance before you go into a fat loss phase. Don't be too restrictive in the fat loss phase. When you exit the fat loss phase, expect a little bit of weight gain and continue tracking. That is the key to successfully leaving a fat loss phase right there. And then continue on with your healthy habits that you established. Enjoy maintenance, celebrate maintenance, and just enjoy life. If you want to re-enter a fat loss phase again after that, I would recommend staying in maintenance for at least 2 times the amount that you were in a fat loss phase. So let's say you were in that fat loss phase for 3 months. Wait 6 months before you do another fat loss phase. And that's going to help you continue to have a good relationship with food, with the scale. And it's also going to, make sure that your metabolism isn't adapted. You're just going to thrive in a lot of ways by doing it that way. And if you stay in maintenance for even longer in between, great. If you want to stay in maintenance for the rest of your life, great. As long as there's no medical conditions there. But as a whole, fat loss is not easy. Maintenance is not easy, but when you establish those habits, they become your systems that you automatically do, and the results will come. So I hope you're feeling a little bit more empowered on your weight loss journey. I could talk more in depth about fat loss. I can talk more in depth about establishing habits, maintenance, but vote on my stories this weekend on Instagram. My handle is at EmpowerHer Health Coaching. And you can vote for what you want next week's chats to be about. And then I will chat about that. I'll do 5 shorts, and then I will do a longer deep dive chat next weekend. So make sure you follow me on Instagram, and then you can vote. And you can also drop me a question if you have any questions about today. I hope you're feeling empowered. Have an awesome weekend.